Hey folks, Pat here from DNS. This Madison area fishing report is current as of April 28th. Before we get started, just a couple quick things to go over. Your fishing license expired on March 31st, so make sure you get out and get that renewed if you haven't. Of course, you can do that online here at the DNR's website on their Go Wild page, and we're also happy to help you out here at the shop. Just wanted to give folks a heads up before the spring opener this next Saturday. Things will be a little chaotic here at the shop with everybody getting out fishing, and you can avoid, kind of the hassle of having to wait around and get a license and get right out on the water and, be ready to roll come Saturday. Also, in other news, the Dane County Parks website says that the Dane County locks have opened for the season. I think they opened yesterday, so that's great news for folks that are in a boat and travel between the lakes, especially with opening day right around the corner. But they got that open. They had a lightning strike last year, so it was shut down a lot of the summer last year. So that is great to see. We have also the Riversmith Fly Casting Clinic hosted by Southern Wisconsin Trout Unlimited. That's going to be at the Xander Community Nature Park in Cross Plains, also next Saturday. So if you want to avoid the chaos of being out on the lakes, you maybe could stroll down to Cross Plains and enjoy a day, maybe learning a new skill. Everything's free there. They got all the gear you need. There's going to be folks from the chapter on hand giving instruction. And it's not just for beginners. If you already know how to cast, but maybe want to tune some things up, folks can help you with that. There's going to be folks there from the DNR talking about what trout eat, what live in trout streams. Folks there talking about how to read water and how to fish for trout. It's a lot of stuff going on there. So anyway, it's a great event held by a great group. And go check it out next Saturday if you're into that. Also wanted to give a huge thank you to Ron Bearfield. Came through last night, gave a great presentation on kind of outside the box fishing on the Wisconsin River. So different techniques that he uses that work for him. He was talking about things like bass fishing for walleyes, using Ned rigs, using plastic, like crayfish patterns. Even was talking about fly fishing. He's been a guide for 32 years in the area. So very knowledgeable, of course. And really always gives a great presentation, but yeah, last night was no exception. Also wanted to thank everybody that made it out, and also wanted to give a quick plug to Ron and his son Phil had this great YouTube channel called Fishing Roots. So they have some very informative short videos here, very well produced, and they do a great job. So log on to YouTube, look up Fishing Roots, and give them a follow if you like. Speaking of spring seminar series, we have our last installment of the spring seminar series coming up next Thursday, May 4th, so right before the opener, and we're going to have Noah Humfeld in talking about opening day strategies, talking about what might be biting and where, how to navigate some of the chaos that comes with opening day. He's been a local guide for many years. His presentations are always not only informative but very entertaining. Hopefully, he's a new dad. Congratulations to him and his wife on that. So hopefully he's not too much of a zombie, but really looking forward to his presentation. We're going to give away some door prizes. I've been giving a discount to folks that come to the event the night of. Buy stuff here at the shop, give a little 15% discount. So a lot of reasons to come down. That'd be next Thursday, May 4th, 7 p.m. here at the shop. And that'll wrap that up for the year. And always really, really happy to keep those going. Something Gene did for many years, and folks really enjoy those. So yeah, it's a good time, and see you next Thursday at 7. I guess we'll get to the report here. This last week, weather-wise, we had some pretty seasonal temps, kind of cool on the cool side. Temps in reaching up to the 50s. So no real big changes weather-wise. Looks like seasonal temps most of the week. This next week with highs in the 50s most of the week, but it looks like a gradual warm-up heading into opening weekend. Looks like they're talking, at least now, they're saying 65 degrees on opening day. Should be absolutely perfect day to get out and enjoy the fishing opener. The buoy on Lake Mendota this morning was reading 46 degrees. 2 days ago, I heard down on Monona it was 48 degrees, and I'd heard even down on Kegonsa a couple days ago it was still at 49. So this cooler weather has kind of stalled the warm up on the area lakes temporarily, at least. The warmer weather is certainly on the way. Generally around town, of course, game fish season is still closed on inland lakes, but been hearing good reports around town for good action for panfish, although the cooler temperatures seem to have slowed that down just a bit. Early season catch and release bass has still been good around the chain, and catfish here in the north side continues to be good. Although it seems like it might have slowed just a little bit, but the catfish are definitely still up here on the north side. Down on the Rock River, still running high down there, but is fishable. The Wisconsin River is actually coming down. It's running at 25,000 CFS at Muscadet this morning, which is a lot better than the 46,000 it was running last week. Up to the Dells, it's coming down even faster. It was at 30,000 CFS just 3 days ago, but is now down to 11,000 CFS. So, that's about the average flow for this time of year. So the snow melt up north must be winding down. I'll get into a little bit more detail up here. Up on Cherokee, still haven't heard a ton coming out of up here at the Cherokee Lake, Cherokee Park area itself. Folks going up there, usually this time of year you'd be getting some crappies, some good bluegills in there. That action's been pretty slow. There are a ton of pike up there. Folks going up there fishing bass and panfish. Folks still complain about a lot of pike in the area, but it's been like that for a couple of years now. Down here to the 113 Bridge and Naughty Gal area, folks getting some crappie in there. Sounds like the white bass action's been pretty good down there. Also, catfish has been good in that area, and then out here to the North Bay on Mendota. The catfish have moved in there. Action's been pretty good. Should only improve as things warm up here, and those fish should be hanging out until I guess first week, second week of June here, until they disperse back out into the lake after spawning. Out on Lake Mendota itself, not a lot of action out on the main lake. Bass folks have been doing well fishing shallow, where of course the water is a little warmer there. Folks fish and panfish at some of the inlets, Mendota County Park, Pheasant Branch, Marshall Park, Spring Harbor, University Bay. All the kind of protected areas, shallow areas around the lake have been producing panfish. So definitely check some of those areas out if you're looking to get in some panfish. Haven't heard much out of the Tenny locks. Like I mentioned, the locks are open, but the breakwall here, I know some folks have been casting off there, but haven't really heard much going on. The Yahara River here is closed. I believe it's down to East Wash. It closes in there. They make that a fish refuge this time of year for the spawn, but that of course will be open for opening day. Haven't heard much coming out of Monona other than some fish in the channels down here on off Weechawuk Bay, formerly known as Squaw Bay, and then up to Winnequa Park has been good for some gills. A lot of folks fishing that though. The action down here on the triangles for crappies seems to have slowed some, but they're definitely still getting fish down there along the tracks and Brittingham Bay. Over to Lake Wingra, the muskie have stopped jumping over here to the Wingra Dam, but of course, that's fun while it lasts. A lot of tiny bluegills in Lake Wingra. Muskies are up in there now. Of course, you can't fish for them until next Saturday, but it's always a cool little lake to fish. Over here to the Monona Terrace, I've heard about some panfish coming off the wall, which still surprises me. It seems like that's a little early for that, but I'm just passing along information I hear. Down to Lattice Park. These little inlets and stuff have still been producing panfish, and this little inner lake area, I think it's called, some panfish moving in there, nice and shallow. Mud Lake's been good for panfish. A lot of largemouth up there. I've been hearing report after report of folks, catching lots of good largemouth bass in Mud Lake. I haven't heard much out of the Lake Farm area, and I haven't really even heard much out of the South Bay down here, but both those areas should be good for panfish this time of year. Nice and shallow, warms up pretty early. Haven't heard much out of Babcock, but that shallow water should also be holding fish. Otherwise, down on Kegonsa, haven't heard a lot out of there. Like I mentioned, I had heard 49 degrees for water temps down there the other day, so still some kind of cool temperatures water-wise. Fish Camp County Park is probably going to be your safest bet, though. This area's got a little current with the Yahara River dumping in there, and then shallow flats out here warms up pretty early. But I guess that does it, locally for the lakes around here. Down on the Rock Rivers, still been hearing about some fish, some good action at Indian Fort at the dam there. Walleye and sauger have been biting down there pretty good. Good pike action. Also heard the white bass have moved in. Most rivers, you'll hear white bass here mentioned a couple times. Up on Lake Koshkonong, haven't heard anything out of the lake itself other than some action up here in the Black Hawk Island area. Also up to Fort Atkinson. Actually, probably, from Black Hawk Island all the way up to the Jefferson Dam, been hearing about good post-spawn action for walleyes and saugers. Also been hearing about good white bass action in the Fort Atkinson and all the way up to Jefferson area, especially up at the Jefferson Dam. The white bass are starting to move in up there. I guess up the way here to Beaver Dam Lake, the crappie bite that was going good there for a while seems to have slowed, but the catfish bite remains strong. I had several reports of folks going over there, catch some nice eater catfish, 18 to 22 inch size, a lot of fun to catch. They're plentiful. I know the walleye anglers up there appreciate the cats kind of getting thinned out, so if you want to catch some catfish, good eating fish over there, and go check that out. Over here on the Wisconsin River, like I mentioned, flows are coming down, great time to get back out on the river. I'm sure some of these areas that have been pretty inaccessible, water raging through some of these dams, is about to calm down here pretty quick with the flows being down around 20,000. That should open that up pretty good. But with the high water, I haven't really heard much for people fishing the river itself. I have heard a few reports up on Lake Wisconsin, mostly up here on kind of the northeast end where the river dumps in, short walleyes. I've been hearing about some panfish at the Fingers here at Harmony Grove, and Whalen's Grade panfish action has been picking up there. Of course, up the river, again, it's been high water. Folks haven't really been able to fish there. I have had some folks come through that have been fishing the Wisconsin Dells area and getting some white bass, some crappie, a few walleye and sauger up there. So some good action to be had up there. That white bass bite and the crappie bite this time of year usually is pretty great. So it's worth a drive if you're looking to get out of town. Otherwise, up here to Castle Rock Lake and Petenwell, I haven't heard anything out of there, but with the levels coming down, the dams here are always a pretty safe bet for some action. The other kind of big news you've probably seen on the actual news, Mississippi River is at record highs. I heard the other day it's higher than it's been since 1965. So some intense flows coming through there from up north with all the snow melt coming down. So the river is basically closed right now. I know in a lot of areas the launches are closed, and they're just recommending folks stay off the river there. All right, back here. Mississippi River is flooded, and I guess what else is there to talk about? Oh, Milwaukee. The runs are over here. Well, I guess there's probably a sucker run going on right now, but the runs on all the tribs are done. Might still be some cohos around in the harbors, but that they're going to start moving up the coast and then out into the main lake here pretty quick. The smallmouth bass will move back into a lot of these tribs. I know the Milwaukee River, I fished it many, many times myself, and is actually a great smallmouth fishery, so that should be picking up here in the next few weeks as things kind of warm up. So not a lot of news this time of year is going to come out of the East Coast. Over here to De Pere, the walleye run is done up there, but still some fish hanging out, and hungry, post-spawn fish, and then as they move back out into the bay, of course, some great action out there for some world-class walleye fishing in Green Bay. Otherwise, trout fishing around the area has been great. The streams have stabilized with all the snow melt gone now. I haven't had any major rains come through, so the streams are running nice and clear. Of course, this is a great time of year to get out. Vegetation is down, no bugs, and some willing fish, a lot of great hatches. So if you're getting out, make sure you bring some dry flies because there's a good chance some hatches will come off. Blue-winged olives, dark-colored caddis, crane flies even I saw the other day. A lot of good action this time of year for trout. Of course, if you're not fly fishing, spin gear is, it's hard to beat a gold and black panther martin or any panther martin or spinner or all kinds of, your lures, rapalas and tube jigs. Any of that stuff works great. And I guess that pretty much does it for the report. Post your comments and catches below. Feel free to call the shop here at 241-4225 if you have any questions or want me to expand on anything we talked about here. Otherwise, make sure you come on down to May 4th to listen to Noah's presentation about spring opener and get pumped up for opening day. So, thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you next week. Thanks so much. Stop.